right, mic check, mic check, mic check. Yep, it's all connected. Welcome to the Black Bear Broadcast. I'm your host, Brother Raven. Please tell a friend we're live. This is the Black Bear Broadcast. And this is where's let me share the screen, sorry. Share if you care. Oh, yeah. This is let's try that one. Ta-da. Does it work? Last time it was messing up, but this time it's not. Excellento. Yeah, this is the 237th episode. That's 237 attempts at working with the community to find solutions and to enlighten and push forward on a betterment path for the community, which is fantastic. That's right. All right. Let's just make sure that's all working. Yep, it is. Don't forget the Black Batman Building Instagram page. I'll post that in. So if anyone who sees live or in the future time, feel free to follow the Instagram page. If you can, feel free to do that. Remember, this show is set up. This is a community show set up just for us to have a conversation, find solutions and promote Black Bearman. But I am merely a host, but it's a show about everyone, and anyone who wants to be on it can be and can give them time. But here's how we start every show. We talk about the triple tragedies. And what is that? That is white supremacy, anti-black racism, and the Ma'afa. These are historical and current things that are very huge and unfortunately very problematic. And these three tragedies, triple tragedies, has caused a double dilemma. And that is, we are despised and we are disorganized. Yes, write that down. Write it down, please do. And that's what we call the double dilemma. That's right, the double dilemma. And the double dilemma, we might need a single solution. So what is that? Well, that single solution is Black Bearman. Hurrah, that's right. And that is a lifestyle of Black people continuously helping Black people. That's it. That's the secret source. That's the secret mission. That's what it is. It's, can we as a community train our community to, as a lifestyle, as an automatic kind of A to B process, try to actually fix our issues, but put it in a cultural way, in a templated way, a lifestyle way, and just have support systems and institutions that build and develop from such an idea. That's what we do here. And this show is a very simple show. It's just a time on a time where brothers and sisters can log in, talk to each other about certain topics, and if they want, they can have their own kind of platform. That's what it is. And then from this platform, we can develop other platforms, maybe more show-based stuff or more, sexy kind of content. But generally, this is just a relaxed kind of environment where, if you have time on a Friday or whatever day is where you're at, whatever time, you just log in. This is we're based in the UK, but, Black people around the world, you're welcome to jump in. That's right. As long as you're constructive. So we promote Black Bearman. We would say that when you do jump in, don't forget about the 4D values, which is discipline, dedication, dignity, and discernment. If you can use those every time you interact with Black people, you will minimize anxieties and maximize solutions. Trust me, it's very handy. Don't forget about the 4D values. Very good. And you can always pause this video a future time to see those and read out what they are. And let's try to use descriptive language over derogatory language. That makes communicating just that teensy bit more easier. If you can, would be nice. So I recommend it. So what is today's show about? Sickle cell anemia. We discussed what is sickle cell anemia, how it affects Black people, and new treatments for the condition. So give me 4 seconds. And then the next one is, let's see if I can see it on my screen. Monitoring the so this is a part 2. Look at that. There we go. So this is a part 2. Monitoring the violent intent of your children, part 2. So I think part 1 was either last week or maybe the week before. My memory's getting terrible there. Was it last week? And we discussed the importance of teaching your children not to harm others in reckless behaviors. I saw 1 or 2 videos. Maybe it's because I was looking at the others that I got more of an algorithm. Maybe, who knows. But yeah, let's continue that. So two very important topics there. Sickle cell anemia. That comes from, we deal with. Did I even mention that in the beginning? I usually mention. When we always talk about Black families, Black economics, and Black health. So that's more of a Black health issue. And from a Black health issue, it's like, what kind of health challenges do we find mostly in the Black community? And we do find that there is a condition of sickle cell anemia that affects more so probably not. I think there might be a few numbers of non-black people affected by it, but generally it is something that is affecting the black community. But they've said that there's some new treatments coming in, and I've seen some of the news reports. So I thought I might as well cover it. We have covered sickle cell anemia in the past, many years ago, I think, a month. I can't remember. I do remember that much. But then also, there will be also a future time moving on to uh, illnesses and conditions that affect the world, but seem to disproportionately affect black people as well, live in the world, which might highlight, you know, certain conditions that make that reality true. Right. So what I'm going to do is normally we start with a random videos and then we just give a black bear perspective. I've got one random video, but I've got tons of actual content for this stuff. So I think, oh, that's a bit weird. Oh, this is the no, we want it here. So I saw a Windrush video from. He said something I thought was quite. Where is it gone? Almost area. So it's the only one that isn't numbered. Windrush. So this is the one video that's not on topic. Just and then after this we'll go on to the two topics. But don't forget to tell a friend. We're live. This show is for you. You. Echo. There we go.
I've just seen something on the government website that will blow your mind.
Oh, yeah.
Now, if you don't know who I am, my name is Colin McFarlane, and I'm the CEO of the charity Justice for Windrush. And people often say to me, what's it about? Was it like a mix-up of papers? Was it a kind of accident? So this is the government website. You can see that, gov.uk, right? This is the name of the report. The Historical Roots of the Windrush Scandal, Independent Research Report. So I was scrolling through this, right? And I just thought, well, let's do a little bit of research. And then I came across this gobsmacking quote. When people say, is it an accident? No. You see that? Number 2, I'm just going to highlight it for you. There you go. Just those first 2 lines. Major immigration legislation in 1962, 1968, and 1971 was designed to reduce the proportion of people living in the United Kingdom who did not have white skin. Let me just read that to you one more time. I'm going to make it slightly bigger, just so you can absolutely take this in, because I was gobsmacked. Major immigration legislation in 1962, 1968, and 1971 was designed to reduce the proportion of people living in the United Kingdom who did not have white skin. So it's not a conspiracy, it's not an accident, it's on their website, but they buried it. You didn't know, I didn't know, because they didn't want us to know. So help us educate the nation.
So
I just have to share something with you. I've just seen something on the government website that will blow your mind. Now, if you don't know who I am, my name is Colin McFarlane.
Colin McFarlane. His name is Colin McFarlane. Let's see his brothers. Oh, there he is, Colin McFarlane. So yeah, he's found out something on the website. Right, that makes sense. Now you might 1,000 forgivenesses, because obviously I'm very intrusive and so obviously I keep looking at different angles. But yeah, so the brother, it's something. It's important that he found that information about that. At a certain point they'll get rid of people with not who doesn't have white skin, and I think this is part of the Black Batman. I wasn't going to go here, but now it's just, and it's going to sound funny, just looking at his face and the things he said and how he presented it, I just thought, let me Google this brother. And I have, and let's see if I can even share that. So I won't share it, but I've Googled this brother, and I think it's what he said. It's like the shock in that, and I think with Black Burman, it teaches us not to really have a shock, and there's a way, because historically there's always been an attempt to mistreat black people, right? On some level. And I think the reasons why some black people are shocked by some of the information that they find is because they've spent their time really heavily trying to integrate financially, romantically, and all the leads, right? So when they find out certain kind of things that have been around, it makes, it hits them for 6. But I just Googled the brother, and he's obviously got a white wife, of course. So that's probably why finding out that, a time in the UK, that they will try and get rid of people with white skin. And that's interesting. That's an interesting thing. But yeah, one of the things you say is, if you just white supremacy in general, like when you look at documents like Brazil, where they say they want black people to not marry black people to get rid of black people. And then you know all the stuff that happens, you know, with dog whistle politics in the States and you know stuff in South Africa, all the stuff. Yeah, and that's why we say the double dilemma is collectively black people have no friends. So what Black Betterment comes to do is, okay, in a world where black people have no friends, what is the templated way you can live to try to have a better tomorrow? So you know we put it down to three things: black families, black health, black economics. So that's important. I didn't know who this brother was, but he's obviously done us a service by showing us the history of anti-black racism. But I did say this: his voice and what he said made me think perhaps his brother did not marry a sister, and that's why he's probably extra shocked by when he comes across people of European descent and historical context mistreating black people throughout the years. And hopefully, Black Betterment will teach black people not to be surprised. And the secret sauce is if you look inwards for solutions, you won't be hurt when someone outwards does something to you. You know what I mean? All power to the brother. So that was the random video that we'll just unpack. Now we're gonna go to the show. Tell a friend we're live. We're gonna focus on sickle cell. What is it? How does it affect? And who does it affect? And all that stuff. So let me first of all, I'll probably play. Probably too loud. Here we go. Number one. This is what I saw, and I was aware that the technology was coming in. So I was being told. So let's see what it says.
It was like a blockade for me, but
So, a 21-year-old Long Island man is the first person in New York history to be cured of sickle cell anemia. So, apparently, this young gentleman has been cured. And if that's because I've got plenty of friends who have sickle cell, unfortunately, and I've definitely seen how it impacts their life, and I know the history of sickle cell and you know the people who are more so affected by it. So, this 21-year-old apparently has been cured of sickle cell. And I hope that's correct, and if that is, that's an amazing feat. So let's carry on.
now it's just like a wall that I just jumped over.
For 21 years, Sebastian Bozil suffered chronic pain from debilitating sickle cell anemia. He's now making medical history in New York State.
The cliche, the future is here, is actually true in this case.
We feel blessed to be able to be the first ones to be able to offer this.
Groundbreaking Lyfgenia treatment used Sebastian's own bone marrow in IV transfusions to create normal red blood cells.
When we could use Sebastian's own stem cells to do this therapy, we were delighted.
Sickle cell disease was described in modern medicine in 1910, and here we are over 100 years later, and this is the first cure you're seeing.
To the Med4 team, the hematology team, the transplant team, you guys have really changed my life.
In the United States, sickle cell anemia most commonly affects people of African, Mediterranean, and Middle Eastern descent. Cohen Children's Hospital hopes to target those communities with this life-altering therapy.
Sebastian been coming to this hospital since he was 2 months old. There is not enough word to show you how grateful I am.
Sebastian will soon be able to travel, work out, and focus on his education. He hopes to work in the medical world.
Amazing, and I can't wait to get back to my day-to-day life because now I feel unstoppable.
From New Hyde Park, Long Island, Jennifer McLogan, CBS News, New York.
Interesting. So that's good stuff. Let's see what sickle cell is, just for the education purpose. We're looking at what sickle cell is in the black community.
In people with sickle cell disease, their red blood cells become deformed, turning sickle-shaped. The bone marrow tries to make more red cells to make up for the loss, but can't keep up, causing anemia. Their new shape keeps them from moving properly through the body, and the misshapen cells can jam up and stick to the walls of the blood vessels. These clumps cut off oxygen to healthy tissue, delaying a child's normal growth and causing fatigue and extreme pain.
So, okay, yeah. I mean, I've been around certain friends and stuff who've had, they call them a crisis or a sickle cell attack. And yeah, it's very painful. You see them really painful. And there's certain situations I think that triggers it, or could trigger it, you know, going from extreme hot to extreme cold, or, you know, there was a list of things that we had to be aware. Like I think getting really cold was an issue as well. Like just getting really cold. I guess living in the cold countries are the best, I guess, for that. But yeah, there was a thing. So let's see. It was also on the UK news, I think, and America. Which one should we look at first? B A S A. Let's B. Let's B. Let's see. Let's see. C.
FDA has just approved a groundbreaking treatment, a cure for sickle cell disease that uses gene editing technology, offering new hope to those suffering from debilitating blood disorder. Here's Raheem Alice.
So I don't know if it's I remember hearing about this, and it was like, they were saying it might cost £1 million or something like that. And I hope that isn't the case. I hope now it's whatever. I hope that it's in the past or something.
The medical breakthrough focuses attention on a long-overlooked genetic disorder affecting mostly African Americans suffering from an
and that's another thing. It was overlooked for a long time, and that's because of who it directly affected. I can relate. I'm currently next to my stepson who's suffering today with pain, and he's okay. Well, we wish him well, and yeah, this is I think what I was told was there are people who have the trait, and so if you have a man and woman that have the trait, if they have a child together, that means the child has a 1 in 4 chance of developing the full condition. So I'm aware of like friends and stuff who, they ask the person they're dating, do they have the trait, because they might not want to, continue the relationship just in case, because they understand the challenges that sickle cell anemia has. So yeah, let's
excruciatingly painful disease, sickle cell. The treatment, called Casgevy, is the first FDA-approved medical use of the gene editing tool CRISPR, and the beginning of a new era in medicine using this technology. It modifies the DNA in a patient's own stem cells so they no longer produce sickle cells, which can cause health complications and can lead to an early death. Doctors call it transformative for nearly 100,000 people affected.
I think it really will change the landscape of science for sickle cell disease. I think it's going to open a lot of doors for a lot of patients.
It's already changed Lorraine Morning's life. The 29-year-old first-year law student at American University's Washington College of Law was one of 46 patients involved in the clinical trial. Diagnosed at birth with sickle cell, doctors told her mother she might not live beyond 11. For most of her life, she says, she suffered severe pain.
It's consistent, it's sharp, and it's crippling.
And that could be where, for example, on your body?
I've had it in my knees, my arm, anywhere there's a joint.
Now Lorraine runs and works out in the gym, things she always wanted to do but never could do before. It's changed your life.
It's changed, yeah.
You said it's given you life.
It's given me life, yeah.
Experts argue the cost puts it out of reach for many families. The price tag is $2.2 million.
That's what I saw. Yeah, $2.2 million. That's a lot. So how did this sister get the treatment? I'd be interested to know how that happened. If she paid her. And I'm hoping that as time goes by, it goes down. People saying if we go on the NHS because it's cheaper, if it just is like it's paid for. But I don't know. I'm hoping that does go down, and that's an angle to really explore, like treatment. 2.2 million, like 2.2 million. That's that already. Who won't be able to afford that. Well, the majority of people, to be honest. The majority. That's your superstar side, on football player side.
But it's likely insurance will cover at least some of it.
And Raheem, a cure, what a powerful word we're talking about. Is this a one-time treatment or a series of treatments?
Lester, technically it is a one-time procedure, but the entire process is arduous, lasting several months. And the young woman in our story said it was also painful. But when asked if she'd recommend this treatment to others suffering from sickle cell, she quickly said absolutely yes. Before the treatment, she was consumed with pain. Now her thoughts are all focused on her future, Lester.
Terrific. All right. Rahima, thanks. Thanks for watching. Stay up.
That's interesting. Oh my days, yeah. And there was the UK covered it. I think it's a similar one. Let's see what the UK covered. Do you guys, people listening, we're checking out sickle cell anemia. We discussed what is sickle cell anemia, how it affects Black people, and the new treatments for the condition. Just educating. We do sometimes when it comes to health, and also, you know, some of the awareness of what many brothers and sisters might be living through and how to be supportive, but also how to be aware. And also, you know, maybe there might be some kind of things we could do to, you know, get that 2.2 million pounds down if it hasn't gone there. I don't know, but yeah, there was something I saw in the UK. I think. Let's see if I got that video. UK. Yeah, I think this one. What's this? Hold on. Who's knocking around?
New gene therapy for sickle cell patients is now being rolled out for use on the NHS in England. The drug offers real hope of a cure for some sufferers of sickle cell disorder, which over time can cause severe organ damage and intense pain. Here's our health correspondent, Rebecca Barry.
If you can bend your arm. Joshua has to do this every 6 weeks. A donor blood exchange. A lifetime of sickle cell has been debilitating and painful.
I've had sickle cell for 24 years of my life, and I've had numerous amount of like near death, agonizingly like excruciating pain where it's unbearable, it's unlivable with.
But from today, a cutting-edge new treatment is available to NHS patients in England.
It makes me feel like we're being seen. The sickle cell community finally have something to look towards. So many people aren't going to be in pain anymore.
Around 17,000 people in the UK have sickle cell disorder. It's an inherited blood condition, more common in people of Black African.
Okay, they say let me write that down. 17,000. I'm going to write that. I'm going to write on my receipts. I just struck 17,000. So 17,000 people in the UK, Black people.
And Black Caribbean heritage. A gene mutation causes the red blood cells to become sickle-shaped, restricting the flow of blood. It can cause severe organ damage, intense pain, and even strokes and heart failure. But now, a groundbreaking gene editing treatment could be life-changing for some NHS patients. Bone marrow stem cells are collected from a patient's body, then the genes are edited in a laboratory, essentially disabling the faulty gene. Then the edited cells are returned to the patient through an infusion.
They have hope.
Around 50 patients with severe sickle cell will receive the treatment each year.
Hold on.
Each with severe sickle cell, 50 patients through an infusion.
They have hope.
Around 50 patients with severe sickle cell will receive the treatment each year.
It is an incredible milestone.
50. Okay, that's interesting. That's cool.
Significant, transformative, innovative, especially for those with very severe disease.
So this would be something that would be interesting to find out if there's like people of African Caribbean descent could like lead charge in you know, taking over, doing more. That's because, you know, there's an interest in it, and that'd be interesting.
You don't have the option of a transplant. It gives you hope of a potential cure.
Joshua is eligible for the treatment and is now going to discuss it with his doctors. Campaigners say it's a turning point in the fight against sickle cell. Rebecca Barry, ITV News.
So they say what's 50 a year, and then 17,000. So that's interesting. Okay, all right. Let's. Is there any more? Was it? Let's see if there's any more videos for us. Yeah, that was it. Right, cool. We'll go back. So, boom, boom, boom. That's learning. Where is the video, man? Yeah. So yeah, we just started there looking at. I don't know if anyone's affected directly or family-wise. Oh, come on, get rid of it. They've changed the interface of this thing. I think you have to remove the videos before you can put something new in, I think. Which is, I mean, they shouldn't do it that way. No, you should just be able to switch it. But what am I complaining about? Anyway, yeah. So yeah, some of us, friends and family, ourselves might be affected by sickle cell. So what they've said, I've written down, they've got 17,000. This is in the UK, but obviously you might be listening all over the world, and you can let us know the stats in your country. But in the UK, 17,000 Caribbean and African. It's pretty much 100% Caribbean and African, pretty much people. all the ones I've ever met. But they say Mediterranean and Middle Eastern as well. So and yeah, 17,000 affected, and if the treatment in now, they're going to roll out 50 of this new treatment a year. So yeah, it'll be interesting to. But what's good is it looks like it's not, you don't have to pay $1 million. I'm gonna play this to some of the friends and people I know. I don't know if they should know about this, but that's I guess that's something that's cool. All right, so there you go. Just awareness. You know, if there's anything you want to cover, that there's plenty like areas when it comes to black health. You know, we have to tackle more the blood pressure. You know, in the black community, it really is quite high numbers. The amount of people affected. You know, we do talk about things like blood pressures and some stuff here, whatever. Right? I should relabel the stuff. You know, blood pressures, food to eat, things like, you know, how you know, exercise, drinking water, and lowering salt and processed food, all that kind of stuff, how that actually helps with blood pressure. There we go. So, you know, buying a blood pressure machine and testing yourself, you can do that, and then you talk to your doctors about what numbers you want. I think they say you want to be under 120, around about 120 and around about 80 on this thing here. When you get it, makes more sense. Also eating food like, you know, vegetables. You know, you want to try to stay as far away from processed food as possible. You know, you want to get your protein, your carbs, fat, starches, balance. We go over that. But also diabetes, that affects black people. Also, black women who are affected in hospitals. That there's certain things that seem to happen more so to black women than others. And then maybe even like things that might affect black people through the cosmetic choices we make. Who knows, things like that. But it's definitely something that we want to be covering. But this week we've covered sickle cell anemia, and which seems like a positive thing that breakthroughs come through. They did say in the report that it seemed to be a underlooked condition, and you know, you probably guess why it has been. But nevertheless, because I remember since the 70s and 60s or something, I remember seeing adverts on it, you know, and more chilling adverts back then. But it's good that, you know, some workers seems to be about, and that's good. And I guess it does affect people differently. Some people have it more intense than others. So yeah, what will happen is, you know, something will trigger a crisis, and they'll extreme pain, and it is very, you know, people, you know, grown men scream and stuff. It is and I think unfortunately there's a rapper from the other person famous I know who had sickle cell was there's a guy called Mobb Deep, and he's part of the Prodigy, from a rap group called Mobb Deep, and unfortunately he died, but he died of choking in, I think, France or somewhere. It was related in the sense of he had a sickle cell crisis. They took him to the hospital, and somehow he choked eating something over there. But what happens, you know, people with sickle cell get used to going to hospital, even on holiday and stuff, right? Because they might get a crisis anytime, depending on what they're doing. And that's why healthy living is healthy living is important for just every black person, right? Or every person generally, but this is based on black community. But for black people, yeah, generally. But obviously, when people have a certain illness, that's extra where you want to, you know, be drinking water, eating healthy, exercising, you know, in the limits that the doctor says you can do. And hopefully those things minimize. Now, what is part two? So part two, yeah, we're gonna move obviously a less uplifting kind of story, I guess, and it's part two. We're just continuing the importance of talking to your children. I saw 1-2 videos that made me go, okay, we'll cover again. Let's see. Now this show will be an hour long, unless it might go over, unless people jump in, whatever, and then we'll continue it. But let us find. I saw this on, where is it? On one. Yeah, I saw this story in the UK. I don't know if you know about it. Where is the? So I saw this. This. Let's see this story.
Baby-faced killers found guilty of murdering 14-year-old Nathaniel Charney in Harper Hay. Kyle did.
Morning. Sorry, when we're watching that murder cases in the UK. So this any trigger warning that young people killing young people, unfortunately.
Dermody, now 15, and Trey Stewart Gale, 14, can be pictured for the first time following a legal challenge by the MEN. Reporting restrictions had been in force prohibiting both teenagers from being named in press reports. A court heard Dermody
I thought they were even younger, to be honest, but this is young, very young, but I thought they might even be younger.
Knife Nathaniel to the neck following a row over cannabis being stolen back in September 2023. Nathaniel and Dermody, then aged 14, had previously been friends and attended school together. They met in an alleyway off Tavistock Square in Harborhead on September 15th last year as part of a fight to settle differences. Stewart Gale, aged 13 at the time, was found to have encouraged and assisted Dermody. He had been armed with a screwdriver during the attack. Dermody had admitted stabbing Nathaniel but claimed to have been acting in self-defence. Both boys had denied murder but were found guilty by a jury after a 4-week trial earlier this year. Police found a timeline full of events leading up to the killing in Snapchat messages. In June, the pair were both detained at His Majesty's pleasure, the youth equivalent of a life sentence. Before they can be released, Dermody must serve 13 years behind bars and Stewart Gale must serve 10 years. In her ruling to lift reporting restrictions on the case, High Court Judge Mrs. Justice Ellen Bogan said, "The public will wish to know the identities of those who commit such a serious offence in seeking to understand how it is that children of that age can do so. Knife crime in general and the circumstances of this particular case are matters of substantial public interest." Follow for more.
I don't know if it's connected, and that's unfortunate that this has happened. But I'm just wondering, is it connected to? Is this the same? Oh, it is, yeah. But younger. So I think. I don't know. I came across this video, which was disturbing anyway, just the way it's framed. But hold on. So I saw that it said Manchester. If it's the same guy, Manchester's youngest murderer did a freestyle before he went to jail.
All these bitches, man, they lie. I'm a well-known 4-0 member, man, I don't even go drop gas. Man, your man, them all chat gas. Cause I'm in MCA right now, I'm sitting in a block car park. Man, me know that the thing is frisky, it's mixed lock. Man, that girl, she's frisky. Man, me know that the thing is mad. 3 of my guys, man, are sitting in the slum. Man, that she said that she loved me. Man, I knew that she was chatting shit. Man, she said that she...
Very nice, yeah. So apparently, I did a few work on I don't know if it's connected like this, but yeah, the connection between people doing crimes and rapping about it and want to be known for it and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's a problem that has to be kind of fixed, whatever. But I swear, he looks young. He looks very young. But I think this is it's the same. It's the same person, and that connects to the next video. The videos I was going to say about. Well, we're talking about just being aware of the children and what they're doing and how trying to have influence. And you close your eyes for 2 minutes and next thing you know, they go to jail. Well, I saw this. I also saw this is the States. I saw this video that popped up. I hope it's not too loud.
You stare until you dead. This 12-year-old boy randomly stabbed a 9-year-old to death and later sought the death penalty in court. However, after learning about his background, the victim's family not only forgave him but also hoped for his recovery.
So I don't know this story, but it was the 12-year-old who did these heinous acts, and the family forgave him. But allegedly, his story or something like this compelled him to. So
on an afternoon in August 2014, Jamarian Lawhorn, afraid to go home, randomly chose Connor Verkerka as his target at a playground and stabbed him 6 times.
So this is connected to last week, where there are some children who seem to be very detached from certain just basic human kind of instincts, whatever it is. And this is something we have to watch, and that's something you really want to check if you're a child. But then this family itself might be the reason why it's on scary.
Instead of running away, he called 911 and waited for the police to arrest him. Lawhorn's defense attorney argued that he had suffered years of abuse from his parents and pleaded insanity in court, but the judge rejected the claim. A physical examination revealed multiple bruises and signs of chronic malnutrition, all caused by his mother and stepfather. This severe mistreatment left Lawhorn feeling utterly hopeless, ultimately leading to the crime. Upon learning the full story, Connor's parents forgave the 12-year-old boy. Ultimately, Lawhorn was convicted of first-degree murder, but since he was a minor, the judge issued a blended sentence. He would stay in a juvenile facility until he turned 21, at which point he would be tried as an adult. Was this a fair ruling? Share your thoughts in the comments.
So yeah, very shocking story. This is like last week's one as well. But then I think the difference here is they're trying to say maybe the abuse in the house has contributed, and that's another thing as well. Like you as parents, or if your neighbors or your family, you know, how you treat your children, you know, that is a contributing factor of how they perceive the world and how they might react to the world. But yeah, and kind of remind me of this other case, quite recent one of a rapper, sort of. Where is it? Let's see, this was so
rapper.
there's a rapper called Gilly the Kid, and I think he's got like a show in America, and unfortunately his son was shot dead in some in a kind of misidentity kind of scenario.
Gilly, and also podcaster and everything else, excuse me, as the Eagles hype man, dancing to blow the whistle. He's been on the stage when they had their official send-off for New Orleans. He's been in the locker room dancing with the players. But you may remember he suffered a horrible tragedy 2 years ago when his son was murdered. Gilly had just gotten a little closure, and he says police told him who killed his son. So Gilly's son, Devin Spady, a 25-year-old rapper known as YNG Cheese, was shot and killed in a triple shooting in Olney in July of 2023. Gilly says the shooter was 17-year-old basketball star Noah Scurry, whose own killing made headlines just last month. And in a recent interview with Shannon Sharp, Gilly says his son was not the intended target and just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah, because he was actually on a show, and it's like a talk show he was on, and the guy was talking to this rapper guy. His son was murdered, and he was talking about a topic. We were saying like, oh man, there's this young kid, a basketball player, and you know he's been killed, and you know back in the old days when we were young, you know people didn't just kill innocent basketball players or just citizens. Like it's getting worse. And that's when the guy Gilly said, "Oh, the guy you're talking about, the innocent basketball player, he killed my son as well. He killed my son." It was a very, very peculiar moment in TV where you're randomly talking about someone and you're saying that something bad happened to them and they're quite innocent in this kind of action. And then goes, "Oh no, he killed my son a few 2 years ago." And please tell me. And but then the person, I don't think they might cover it.
Scurry was shot to death on January 14th while on his way to Samuel Fells High School with
this guy. And I sent the best picture of
his mother. And police say Scurry was killed one day after a rap video was posted to social.
Yeah, so this is the connection I'm saying. It's kind of like killing someone, rapping about it, you know, and all this kind of stuff. This culture that we might have to, maybe we have to cover this kind of thing. But obviously, I grew up in hip hop. Hip hop is going since like from the 70s till so when the 70s came out. Like very party based hip hop, and then by the 80s it was and it's like golden age, and you had like different styles. You had gangster rap, you had pro black, you had alternative, you had jazz, and all this kind of stuff. And then it ran about 90s, whatever. The gangster thing became the most popular. They were saying that the music labels were releasing that, and that's because that made the most impact, the most shock value, and but then it had a negative impact on people, and then people would just then have to only sign certain kind of rappers. That's a very different thing from what we're seeing here now, where there seems to be a clout chasing community of rappers who want to harm and kill other people and then rap about it for clout, for social media purposes, and it's like regardless of how many masks they wear, it's not hard to find who as you see here, right? So it's a very peculiar thing that this is a trendy thing, right? This was happening. it's like it really is like an extreme devolve of what was before.
Social media, and here's a screenshot of it, where Scurry was dressed in a Joker mask and holding a gun. And Scurry was also a victim in a previous shooting in May of 2023. But there is video of this, and I'm sure you wouldn't want to hear me say it. So hopefully we'll get to play the video where Gilly talks about what it's been like and hearing that news and the fact that we're losing our young people and how they're being raised. So I hope that we'll actually play that video because
I've actually got. Let me just play 2 minutes of the guy, the young. He was actually killed. Let's see. Short, long. Let's hear some of this.
On the death of getting the kid's son, YG Cheese, just got a whole lot more tragic.
Right now, police are trying to piece together what led to a shooting in Olney that left one man dead, 2 other people injured. It happened around 8:30 tonight at Masher Street and Nadro Avenue in Olney. Police say a 25-year-old man was killed. 2 other men are in stable condition. No one was arrested.
YG Cheese was shot and killed July 30th on the 5800 block of Masher Street in Olney, Philadelphia. Now, his death brought a lot of sadness throughout the industry because Gilly is very well connected. And about a year and a half later, no arrest has ever been made for the death of Gilly's son, YG Cheese. But as we all know, an arrest ain't the only justice in the streets. And to be honest, most street dudes will see their op getting arrested as an easy way out. They will much rather prefer handle justice in their own hands.
Breaking details on the homicide investigation of 17-year-old Noah Scurry. He's the star student athlete gunned down outside his home in front of his mother while getting ready to head to Samuel Fell.
So he was shot in front of his mom, and he was like high. He was a high student, as in like his grades were really good, and he was actually like one of the top basketball players. And none of the teachers or anyone knew that outside of this, he was, shooting people and dressing in masks and rapping and this kind of stuff.
High school, and that's where our Kelly Rule is live for us tonight. Kelly, what are you learning?
Well, Sheba, police say they are looking for at least 2 people for this homicide, possibly a third, and they believe they do have the vehicle that was used in the crime. But tonight, law enforcement sources are telling me they believe Noah Scurry appeared in a rap video with guns that was posted to social media the day before he was killed.
Scurry, this is the...
So there could be a connection that he made this rap video, and then people came to kill him because of it.
Hood Static Shock. During the day, he was a basketball star. He was the smartest kid in his school. He had the highest SAT scores. He had D1 and college offers. But during the night, he was a murderous, gang-banging rapper. And he would even wear a mask whenever he rapped or whenever he engaged in street activities because he didn't want for that to interfere with his high school basketball dreams. Yo, this a D1 crash out in the likes we ain't never seen before. He had D1 offers to go to college, and he was a D1 crash out in the streets. He would rap about having 5 bodies, and then in this newly released song called Swing My Way, he openly raps about how now they would need 2 hands to count his bodies, insinuating that he just caught another one and put his body count to 6.
So I have to hear this.
She gon' fuck me, sit here and I'm dangerous. OTV, other blocks can't hang with us. And you gotta catch a bite to game with us. You got hit with a tennis change.
All right. Don't hear the song. You get the picture.
Oh, this kid was an alleged killer. During the day, his family only know him as Noah, the basketball player. But during the night, he was known as Joker OTV. And he wasn't just rapping about bodies, he was allegedly catching the bodies as well. See, he was being credited for a very high-profile murder in the city of Fat Dame. Noah not only murdered Fat Dame allegedly, but he walked him down with a switch and took his face off in broad daylight.
Sorry for the short. We won't listen to any of the short video stuff.
Scurry may have been responsible for that death. But that death was so vicious and so ruthless that the high school girl who walked by stated,
no, we'll skip any kind of short value stuff. Lost youths it only ends in prison or death. And I think let's see, where was it? Yeah, so this is the Gillies kid who was murdered. That's not him, I don't think. But here's
Baby had a very interesting IG post. Baby is keeping it true to the street code, man. The body ain't worth it if the streets don't know you did it. So after allegedly catching the body of Noah, man, he's on the IG story dissing Noah. My fan dual ticket cooked. Just know they did it first. Blood, whole. He went ahead and said, I feel sorry for his mama. Clown, broken heart emoji. But this right here is the post we gotta pause on. He would write, get your rest, cheesy. That boy gas now. Confirming they smoked Noah Scurry because Noah Scurry was responsible for the death of YNG Cheese. But it gets more self-incriminating, people. See, the song he used, Intro by Lil Durk, it had some very...
What we doing? Traumatizing the black community for clicks. Break that down. What you mean by that? I don't know what you mean by that. So the topic, unless you're talking about what's actually being said, as in what they do. So yeah. So we're on the topic of monitoring the violent intent of your children, part 2. So we did a part 1 last week, and we've seen 3 videos of like the behavioral patterns and the history of it, of when children like spiral out or they're just completely disconnected. But then there's obviously different things going on. Like, for example, this individual, he at school was doing really well. He was very good at basketball. He seemed to be very motivated, and that. But so the school didn't seem to know he was doing murdering people to the point where he could be considered, if it was true, a serial killer at the rate he was doing. These are obviously shocking things, but this is what we're talking about, And I'll stop this one out. You have to stop every video just to stop. This is very challenging. Hold on. So yeah, very shocking thing, but yeah, this is just part 2 of last week's part 1 of following up. Monitoring the violent intent of your children. We discussed the importance of teaching your children not to harm others in reckless behaviors. There's a disconnect, unfortunately, and obviously it's spiraled out of control. And at a certain point, parents have got to really take responsibility for the raising process, and trying to make sure your child doesn't harm others should be part of the mission, really. When they harm someone, they go away themselves, but they also take someone else. That's more than one household affected by the actions of one. So yeah, very important. Even though he has a way out through basketball, most stay because they love it, and that's the thing. That's another thing. In old time, crime was usually done in the sense of like there are people who might have been in poverty, and they engage in some kind of illegal activity, and in that illegal activity they've done to make money, whether it's stealing or selling something or whatever, they've catched conflict because of it as one of the things, and then in that conflict someone has been shot or attacked, whatever. Right? But it seems like now it's just a different thing. It seems like clicks and clouts and is what it's about, really. Kind of rhymes. Clicks and clouts is what it's about. But it's it seems to be that way now, where people they've got the money, they've got houses, they've got pocket money, they've got all the stuff they need, but yet the harming of someone else and making creative music around it is the draw, the clicks and the clouts, all that kind of stuff. Very terrible. But it's something that we have to take control of and monitor. And yeah, if we don't have a community kind of intervention all over the world, wherever, then kids will always spiral out. So yeah. So the 2 topics that we covered today are sickle cell anemia. We discussed what is sickle cell anemia, how it affects black people, and the new treatments for the condition. And we just looked at monitoring the violent intent of your children, part 2. We discussed the importance of teaching your children not to harm others in reckless behaviors. Yeah. So that's that, mate. It is if there's any topics you want us to cover for next, there was some interviews I was going to do maybe in the future. There's some guys that wanted me to interview about something. So who knows? We might do those soon, whatever. But if there's any topic you want us to cover, but we should do more on obviously black health. I think the blood pressure and the diabetes is it'd be good to get get the numbers of that, numbers of people, black people in the UK and America and around the world, I guess, depending on what we can get, just to see the ratio wise of how those things impact. And then I guess when you talk about that, you're going to be talking about what causes it. So what culture do we have to change? And I think diet and exercise is obviously going to be a main one. But that's important. That is important, family. But family, we have hit. We're coming to our 1 hour time limit that will only extend unless we have guests who will jump in and say stuff. But if there's anyone who's affected by sickle cell anemia, let us know. If you want us to cover it again, someone talk on it, like inviting people to talk on stuff. We used to do it more back in the day, but my time is crazy, so it's hard to. It is quite hard to do the work I'm doing as well as arrange things. So it really does rely on people jumping in if you want, or just messaging me if there's anything you want to do, all that good stuff. But until then, it really is just whatever comes on the algorithm, we'll just cover it, and we'll try to get the most from it and plan from it and stuff. Oh yeah, but podcast. I didn't understand what you were saying about Trump. Let me know, because I want to respond to what people say, just in case there's confusion going on. I never want. So if you're still listening to podcast, let us know. Unless were you saying that you were triggered by the content? If you were, apologies. We do try to give warning sometimes. And that's the thing. Sometimes the content is very shocking, and I guess when you see it a lot, you can not desensitize, but you can listen to it and case study it without it actually affecting you directly. But it is quite shocking to see young people really indulging in violent behaviors. But then the bigger question is, what are we doing about it, and making sure that our children, our nieces, nephews, and cousins and communities are not doing things that cause tremendous pain for all. So, family, I'm gonna love and leave you. At some point, I'm gonna arrange some show to do a talk. A brother will talk to me. Well, today we covered sickle cell anemia and monitoring the violent intent of your children, and we also looked at one video about a windwash, finding information on the internet in the 60s, 70s, and 80s in the UK to try to get rid of as many people who are not white skinned. And I think on that, when I saw the way the brother mentioned it, it made me think he was very hurt by that. And I tried to case study of why someone would be hurt. And even though the brother was married to a European woman, I think that is a contribution as well, where people are very integrated into other communities. So when they hear those communities harm them or say things that's hurtful, it really affects them negatively. So from a black man perspective, it's understanding the double dilemma, and that is we are despised and we're disorganized. And when you understand that, then most things that happen, you will not be as harmed, because you already have a ideology, philosophy that tells you we are despised, we are disorganized, double dilemma. And in order to fix that double dilemma, we need a single solution, and that's what this show is about. This show is about the single solution to promote black betterment. If you don't know, now you know. And it's just basically a time to talk for the community. Come on, and we discuss things that we can work towards, things we didn't know, things that are constructive, and in the hopes of promoting a lifestyle. So when you guys leave here today, don't forget that you are part of the solution, and you can make it better tomorrow. You can fix things one at a time. You can fix black health, black economics, and black families one step at a time, and take responsibility. And that's what this show is about. And obviously you have a support system here, because we're creating a support system. That's what it's about. So family, I hope you have a fantastic week. I hope you have a Black Betterment week. And I'm going to go now. I'm tired as usual, working hard. But for all in the internet, those listening to Future Times, Black Betterment, all Black Betterment. And I hope you have a good time. End the show. Here we go. Oh yeah. Dum.